Thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers to invite us to present our project installation on virtualization of media art as a conservation measure. I will speak a little bit about the theoretical framework of our project and also tell a couple of details about my role in the project as the art expert. And I will talk about the mysterious being Fenimanda and the other mysterious being called the kaleidophonic dark. So first of all, I want you to look at these two pictures. They are very different each from other. There are many differences, but this one, the first one, The Birth of Venus by Botticelli, is a tempera on canvas. The second one is the Arnolfini betrothal by Jan van Eyck, that's all painting on oak panel. And that's the great difference between both pictures. In which way? Tempera is a technique that it functions with, it works with egg, and eggs dry too fast. So you have to plan your work, your picture, your mythological or religion theme topic very in detail. But if you are making a picture in oil, you have much more time to make your picture. And what Jan van Eyck did was making many details until he reached something like a photograph at that time. Yeah, and he made it possible to make pictures, portraits, what before that was not that easy or was not affordable, and that was an incredible technical development at that time. And I showed you that has nothing to do with media art, but I think it's very important for us in our project to take a look to the technical development. That's a thing that matters, because in the technical development is something like a transmission of processes that if we don't take care of that, they can be lost in the process of transforming or virtualizing a media artwork. So the concept we are working with in our project is a mix between Dick Higgins' intermedia concept. It's an old one. In the 60s, we got many new disciplines in the art, and this is why he talked about intermedia as a new concept for describing these new kinds of art happenings, like this, those by Alan Kepro or John Cage work. Also, the first happening, making a mixture from dancing and music and pictures, projections, and so on. But media art is not only the sum of different media. It cannot be only that. And there's a definition made by the American-German artist Stefan von Kühne. He said, media art is an art form where the process of transmission of the artwork through technological devices is an integral part of the work of the artist on the artwork. I think the important part concerns process of transmission. The process of transmission where the artist shows with his creativity what he is changing on a technical level is a thing that we want to make visible through the project installation. I think in this transmission, this process of transmission is the essence of media art. So, within the main conservation framework of media art, I used to quote Salvador Muñoz Viñas, the art conservator, and his diagram, which I have animated in this case. He decided to make the word conservation for the main terminus to describe what's actually the big work for every process. and he divided in preservation and restoration. Restoration is the work itself on the object, and preservation can be understood as direct or environmental preservation, if you are doing some changes on the object, or if you are making changes on the environment in order to preserve it, such as humidity control or something like that. And then this another thing, this is the informational preservation. When I say we are virtualizing art, many people say, what? It cannot be real, then it's not anymore an artwork. But if you look at this work on the conservation theory, we need information about the object. And that's a very important part of it. We need a detailed information that makes the difference. And I think that's where installation is. We make a copy of the original. We don't reproduce the original. But what can installation do at a practical level? Installation maybe also be a kind of emulation. Many of you, or all of you maybe, know the work by Ippolito and Reinhardt on the exhibition Seeing Double, and the book it calls, not the book to the exhibition, but another book is Recreation. And in this exhibition we saw this work, The Owl King, by Weinberg and Freiman. This is the original one, and this is the copy, I mean the emulation of it, with a new computer. And the technique was first meant not to be seen, and the people didn't understand why there are two works that make the same thing. Yeah. After that, they discovered the trick, and it was clear this is the emulation. As I started to write my PhD on Stefan von Kühne, I wanted to see this sculpture. Tischtenzer is the most important one for me, but it wasn't possible. It's actually it's in the ZKM, but it's not possible to see this sculpture, or it's not a sculpture ensemble with four sculptures. It's complicated, but it's not broken. It's too difficult to exhibit it, and the museum don't have enough place for every artwork. And I thought it would be great if we could make a reenactment, a virtual reenactment of it. And that won't be the original one, but for me at that moment that would be okay, since there wasn't any videos to see in full length. And this also an installation where a little bit in interaction is needed to trigger the sculpture or the ensemble. And from this point of view, virtual reenactment is also a kind of emulation, I would say, on a practical level. Well, as you see on the first picture, we have also a reenactment of a sculpture, a kind of emulation. After 20 years, from 1985, many experts come together and say, how can we do this work going on and making sense again and so on. At that time, also you know the retro games, and many retro games from that time started making emulators. And that's what Ippolito called the salamander. Salamander is a mythological being that can live within fire. And the phoenix would be a kind of emulation where the artwork itself is reborn after many years. But the salamander can live through that time as an emulation. That's also similar to that what we are trying to do. And in this case, since we cannot say that's a phoenix or a salamander, I created this new mythological being called the Fenimander. And it's a Fenimander because we are able to reborn art, but under new conditions, purely digital. But on the other side, we are working with all these people. We are working with open source software in order to reconstruct 3D reconstruction, for 3D reconstruction, or for 3D modeling with Blender, from the use from AMD displays or data goggles, Oculus, the PC viewer that was made by one of us, Antonio here, or these two game engines that we are also using, or Kinect for the sensor data we need for the telepresence system or virtual reality system. So now I like to tell you something about the documentation we did with the kaleidophonic dog. That's just for you to remember the pieces we have. And I'll show you a video, 30 seconds. Well, I was in charge of the documentation of this artwork, and I will come back to that in 1 minute. But the second challenge, the first challenge is the documentation, but it was very difficult to find out how the composition worked. And the second challenge is to do a 3D model, but we have here many materials. That's also part of my work. I have to analyze how many materials we have, and we have leather and wood, and leather reflects some kind of light. We have also oak panels with this design on the back side. We have also nylon textiles and brass, this metal, reflecting object. And we have also a kind of synthetic caoutchouc. And for every material, theoretical, we need a different approach for the 3D reconstruction. It was too difficult. That's why we choose the easiest way. That was the photogrammetric reconstruction. And the model was like that. But by photogrammetric reconstruction, you get many polygons, and the model is not that easy to move. And we had to do it manually after that. But the 3D reconstruction is a great thing. If you decimate the polygons, you can interact with the object in a 3D modeling program. And you can use the 3D reconstruction as orientation and support for your 3D modeling. Yeah? As you see, the materials are not the same as in the picture before. That's work in progress. About the composition, just a minute. I have to say there are two versions of the artwork. The first one worked with punctured tapes, and every punctured tape had a different length. And yeah, as you here see, they work endless, and you get always a new composition. Yeah, that's a very big problem, because the new version of the sculpture functions with electronic, with EPROMs, and we found out the correspondences between the EPROMs on this circuits the artist did, and we know how it works, but we need also some kind of validation of the data. We have here in the EPROM actually the composition, but we don't know the timing. And the method Florian presented is the way to find out how the sculpture works, actually. This is one apron, the first one, I think. And if we analyze the movements of one leg, the one leg is in the first apron, we can find out which bit sequence is meant, yeah? And we also can find out the counter, the timing. That's what we need to find out how this composition works. So, and we don't have a model with everything, but I can show how the dog works. Almost the movements of the head and the legs. This is in Unity. Actually, the only thing is moving is the head, the mouth, and the two legs. Yeah, everything else have to be done. Okay. As conclusions, I asked myself what I have learned from the Fölmander. I've learned the installation is as synesthetic documentation, an enhanced documentation, and also a dissemination tool, and a creative instrument, because we also work with artists that are interested in creating art with a virtual reality system. In the theoretical framework within the art conservation, we have seen we can say installation is part of the informational preservation. That's an enhanced documentation of the artwork itself. But sometimes, as in this case, it has also something to do with direct preservation. The kaleidophonic dog has a problem, and this problem is the timing is lost. Yeah? We can understand how these chips work together, but we need also new ideas to find out where is the timing. And that's direct preservation, because the museum that the LACMA in Los Angeles has this work, doesn't have this information. And as the art expert in the team, I have first to think as a phoenix, to handle as a fire salamander, and to keep the process of transmission alive. Thank you for your attention.